Really?
Yeah.
Then American people really must be stupid according to your lights then.
No, I think they're very smart.
People who disagree with them?
They are opposed to the war right now by a margin of 70%. They support a women's right to choose. They believe that the economy is the most important thing going on right now. And they don't believe that John McCain knows enough to take care of the economy going forward.
So whether or not the facts support what you say, you'll just keep saying it, okay?
How many people in this country support the continuation of the war as it is?
Let's get back to abortion.
No,
you were
just
saying,
said.
You were saying that the majority of people support Roe v. Wade. I pointed out to you that that is not true and that a plurality of American women oppose abortion rights as they are outlined in Roe v. Wade when it is explained to them. And yet you keep saying that they support Roe v. Wade. And I say not when it's explained to them.
I have never said the words Roe v. Wade in this conversation. I said they support a woman's right to choose.
Yes,
and
because you disguise what it is behind that statement, right to choose. But when people are given the facts about what that means, an abortion for any reason throughout the 9 months of pregnancy, they oppose it. Okay, let's move on.
Have you two ever met each other before?
No.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
202-737-0002. That's our line for those of you who support Senator Obama, and 202-737-0001 if you're a supporter of Senator John McCain, and we have a line for independents. Well, I want to share with you just one part of the interview that took place last Thursday and Friday. This aired on a 2020 program that Charlie Gibson was the anchor of, and the issue of Hillary Clinton came up with Governor Sarah Palin.
I saw you quoted somewhere as speaking rather admiringly of Mrs. Clinton, Senator Clinton, during the primary campaign. I think Obama should have picked her.
I think he's regretting not picking her now. I do. What determination and grit and even grace through some tough shots that were fired her way. She handled those well.
Do you think Senator Obama should have selected Hillary Clinton?
Me personally, yes, I do.
Do you think the dynamics in this race would have been different had she been selected?
No question about it. I think he made the worst mistake by not picking her. Obviously.
We agree on something.
Yeah, clearly. By the way, but I have to go back to something you said earlier about, you're trying to portray her as some sort of, outside of the mainstream right-wing nut. She doesn't want women. She wants women to have to pay for their. It's absolutely false. And if you keep doing that, you're only going to create a backlash on her behalf. You'd be far better off attacking her in terms of the things that she has really said and done, rather than this phantasmagoria of, she wanted to ban Harry Potter from school libraries. She wants to teach creationism. She believes in speaking in tongues in her church, and so on and so forth. In fact, as I understand it, and I don't remember it distinctly, but I remember reading a New York Times account of this whole rape kit business, and it was under her governorship that the law was changed so that women would not indeed have to pay for their own rape kits. And I doubt very much that she had anything to do with it or any knowledge that it was even Alaska law when she became governor.
Well, I will. I'll grant you that she may not know what she was signing, but I do think that you're right, that the bigger concern is the corruption in her administration and the abuse of power that she's... Well, it's this front page. It's a big story in the New York Times today.
Let's get some calls. Atlanta, Georgia, good morning.
Hello, how you doing?
Fine, thank you. Thanks for waiting. I know we tried to get you on earlier and we lost the call, so welcome back.
Okay, thank you. The one thing I do want to say, first of all, I believe that Sarah Palin is actually just a stunt for John McCain, and it really puts in check his judgment for meeting her only once at a governor's conference and then throwing her on the ticket after meeting with her only once the day before he hired her. That is a horrible decision. If you're trying to get someone on the ticket who's going to help you govern, you need to put more into it than that, seeing as he wrapped up this nomination in February. My other point is this. David Gergen, he's a CNN contributor, he said that there's only one president right now who has no foreign experience, and that was elected president. And that was George Bush. Now, we put George Bush on the ticket with no foreign experience, and that's why we're in the mess we're in now. And I just want to ask these ladies, why do you feel like Hillary Clinton voters will vote for this lady? The ones I speak to cannot stand her. They believe that she is a very small representation of Hillary Clinton and no match whatsoever. I'll let you go.
Thanks for the call. Mona Charen?
Well, first of all, the notion that John McCain made such a terrible blunder by selecting her is belied by the fact that the entire race has been upended by this choice, that the excitement is now very much on the Republican side, not on the Democratic side. Obama seems quite bewildered by what has happened to him and hasn't yet been able to get his footing since this choice. The polls have switched dramatically. So for a disastrous pick, it's certainly doing a lot of good. Furthermore, the notion that the only president we've recently elected who didn't have foreign policy experience was George W. Bush is not true. The same could be said of Clinton. The same could be said of Carter. Both were governors of their states. So I think the history suggests rather the opposite, that Americans prefer to elect governors who've had very little foreign policy experience. Reagan had little foreign policy experience and was a fantastic foreign policy president. He won the Cold War without firing a shot.
Both of our guests are columnists and authors. Mona Charen is also a graduate of GW Law School here in Washington, D.C., and Jane Hamsher, a graduate of USC, Hyatt Park, Illinois. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Yeah, as a Republican, I support John McCain, and I sent him a check, because I actually, like him a lot. But first, Ms. Charen, as a doctor, skin cancer is not just seen on the skin and so easy to treat. Okay, but anyway, coming back to the elections, I think I was deeply dismayed when John McCain, among all the qualified people we have in our party, in the Republican Party, including Olympia Snowe, okay, John McCain went and chose John Palin. As you're sitting there, do you truly believe that she is more qualified than Olympia Snowe or all the women in our party, in the Republican Party? I think the American people will see through this. I mean, this is our country. We cannot just, out of a whim.
But, caller, who are you going to vote for?
For John McCain, but I'm dismayed by his choice of Sarah Palin.
Okay. We'll get a response. Jane Hamsher.
I think you're right that in Hollywood we would have called it stunt casting. He went for the person who was going to give him the most sort of bang for his buck in the infotainment press and overlooked a lot of women, such as you would say Olympia Snowe or Kay Bailey Hutchinson, who might have been much more qualified than she was for the position. And I think it was very much a cynical move to try and get the Hillary Clinton voter, but in fact there was an 11-point swing from before the Democratic convention till after the Republican convention amongst Clinton voters towards Obama. So I don't think that it worked.
Let me ask you about strategy. Michael Goodwin writes about it this morning in the New York Daily News in his piece. He says, with top Democrats fearing Barack Obama is in a hole, the Obama campaign has made a weird decision. It's going to dig that hole deeper, harder, and faster. No more Mr. Nice Guy, Obama vows. He's going to really start hitting John McCain now. He's going to make voters understand that McCain equals 4 more years of George Bush. It's a weird decision, says Michael Goodwin, because Obama has been doing exactly that for 4 months. The problem is not that Obama hasn't hit McCain hard enough or linked him to Bush often enough. The problem is that he hasn't done anything else. How about a new idea? How about putting some meat on the bony promise of change?
I think that they have been doing a very good job of linking John McCain to George Bush, and I don't think it's a change at all, so I would have to admit that I kind of felt the same thing.
So why has Senator Obama really stayed between 42 to 48% in most of the national polls?
I think that the energy, I agree with Mona, I think the energy has been on the choice of the Palin-McCain ticket. I think she's been a very compelling choice, not necessarily for good political reasons, but for good entertainment reasons.
Did you expect to see the Republican ticket in this position in mid-September?
No. I have to say I was as surprised as anyone. I was looking into Sarah Palin when I was, writing about who John McCain should pick. So I knew she was out there, but the electric response that she has generated was a surprise to me as much as anybody, except perhaps McCain. McCain has to be given points for political genius.
Or an impulsive pick. I think a lot of people are really worried that he makes these very impulsive, very rash picks.
Can I just explain part of what is so great about her? Sorry, I am interrupting. You go ahead.
I wanted to ask you a question actually, because you've written about how dangerous McCain's temper and impulsiveness is. So I think a lot of people, the caller that just called, mentioned that he was, he thought that it was a bad sign about McCain and his temper and his impulsiveness.
I wasn't talking about anything like these. I never said he was dangerous. I did say he had a temper and that he's offended people, which he definitely has throughout his career in Washington. He has a long list of enemies and people who don't like him very much, which he will tell you himself. But I think that in order to understand the brilliance of this pick, you have to focus on far more than the woman factor.